Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Larry Holder joins us, theathletic.com/New Orleans, to talk some Saints. Thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm good, Matthew. How are you?
Well, doing better than Taysom Hill and the rest of the Saints, who had their season end on Sunday. Let me get your take on Taysom's injury and what that means for him moving forward.
I don't really think it affects what he's going to be because I don't suspect he will be the starting quarterback. Now, you have to wonder if this thing lingers, and we've seen foot-ankle issues of players. You just mentioned Davenport, and, of course, now we're kind of tainted by Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure the Saints get this thing right because Taysom's biggest asset, obviously, is his versatility, using him in different areas, and that's using his legs and his speed and his power. And so I think they're going to treat this very carefully just because, A, they've invested in him, and B, they want to use him in that multifaceted role because I just don't foresee him, and I know you don't foresee him being the quarterback as far as starting next year, regardless if he's healthy or not.
No, I don't. I'm trying to be respectful of the conversation, though, because a lot of people are asking the question. The Saints gave him a contract that at least leaves the door open. So let me just at least pose the question then. This is a guy that's 7-2 as a starting quarterback. Why isn't he going to be the guy in the future?
I just don't think he can win consistently as a pocket passer. He is not the most accurate passer in the league. Even just as far as decision-making, has he gotten better? Sure. I just think that Sean Payton knows he's got to basically scheme around things, and, you have to lean on defense, and that's obviously been the recipe for the Saints to win games. And so I'm not going to say and try to kind of sully that he was a winning quarterback with the Saints. I get it, and he brings a certain aspect, but week in and week out, I don't think you can go win a Super Bowl with that guy, or even win a division with that guy as your starting quarterback. You can win those things with him on the team, but not necessarily, in my eyes, as a starting quarterback.
I mean, look, you and I see eye to eye with that.
Right.
The question is, then what direction do they go? Is Jameis Winston the answer, or do you see a free agent? Because, Larry, we can agree, right? I mean, quarterback is the first question they have to answer going into next year. So is it Jameis, or do you see a free agent option?
I don't necessarily see a free agent option unless someone magically gets cut, like, I don't know, Kirk Cousins. But I can't see that. He's $35 million guaranteed. Like, you can't dump him. I just don't see a free agent option that's kind of lurking out there. So your option is to, A, roll the dice and sign Jameis Winston and lean on him and assume he's going to be healthy. B, trade for a guy, and those are some lofty expectations in terms of what another team is going to ask from the Saints and who's actually even available, despite the rumors and chatter that's going to happen throughout the offseason. Or C, go draft a guy. And who is ready-made to come in and play in the NFL right now? I don't know if there is totally a guy in college right now. And just look at this past draft. You thought guys could come in and play right away, and even Trevor Lawrence struggled. And even though Mac Jones is in the playoffs, it's not like they had to lean on him to be the guy to win big-time games for you. So I think all that is up in the air, and the Saints at least have a couple of months to try to figure this out because by the time free agency comes, you've got to make the question whether you're going to dive into Jameis, make a trade, or if you kind of move past that, lean on the draft.
If they draft a quarterback, that would certainly be an indicator. I mean, I'm talking like in round one. That'd be an indicator that they're rebuilding, that they're playing for the future. Do you think that that's an option for this franchise to have a 3 to 5 year view instead of a win now view?
Well, let me look back at this past draft that I just mentioned, Mac Jones. I mean, they played him right away, and they didn't feel like it was a rebuild. They felt like he could come in and play, and it happened. Now, that's not the norm. I mean, you know it, I know it. That is not the norm. So I don't think even if they went that route, they would see it as a rebuild because they probably feel like they've got enough pieces to the puzzle that can make this thing win. I mean, they won games with all kinds of different quarterbacks this year. Obviously not Ian Book and Trevor Siemian, but
right.
guys who we could agree that you probably could use upgrades over, whether it's Jameis or Taysom. So here's the thing. It really depends on the Saints have to have a 150% conviction on a guy if they're going to go get him. Would that be Matt Corral? Would that be Kenny Pickett? I know you or me have a differing opinion on Kenny Pickett. I think he's better and might be able to come in and start right away for a team. Maybe not the Saints.
No.
But, like I said, we have differing opinions. Or do they go in round 2 and get Desmond Ridder or, someone like that, Malik Willis, so Sam Howell. I mean, those are the quarterbacks that we're talking about. I mean, I just named the top 4, like Carson Strong from Nevada. I mean, those are basically the top 5 quarterbacks in this class, and none of them are like number 1, number 2. It's going to look nothing like that class from last year. And so I don't think the Saints ever look at themselves as a rebuild because I think, here's the thing, I feel like if Sean Payton is looking at something and a Saints roster and says, man, we've got to rebuild, he might just walk.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever looking at anything as a rebuild. He's not tearing it down, and he's been at this long enough. He'd go do something else, go do TV, maybe get traded. Like, I'm not saying Sean Payton's leaving by any means, but I can't see him ever looking at something and be like, man, this is a total rebuild job.
Well, let me ask you the question then that everyone, I mean, it's every year. If it's not Dallas or the Giants, I mean, now it's the Raiders or the Bears. There's these conversations about Sean potentially leaving New Orleans. You have the floor. Any legitimacy potentially to any of that talk with Sean Payton?
I can't see any of it. I just think that he feels like that the Saints. Here's the thing: if Jameis Winston doesn't get hurt, they're probably in the playoffs, and we're not even having this conversation yet. So I think that he feels like this team can still win. And just as wacky as the NFL has been this year, I mean, you're not that far off. If you win a couple of games, you get in the postseason. All kinds of crazy things have happened. So I just don't see an opportunity out there where he would say, man, I really got to go make that happen. And just remember, the times we're talking about Sean Payton leaving, the franchise was not in good shape. And he was maybe saying, well, let's move on to something better and start fresh somewhere like the Rams or remember Indianapolis when they had Andrew Luck. Like, he was looking at certain spots. Like, he did not want to go to San Francisco at that time, even though they wanted him. So this is when the Saints were in the midst of 7-9. I don't think Sean Payton looks at it that way. And obviously the Saints are not getting rid of him by any chance at all.
Larry Holder, theathletic.com/New Orleans, on Twitter @Larry Holder. Y'all give him a follow. Check him out. All right, so what are the biggest free agent needs at this team? I mean, provided they get within cap compliance. What are the biggest free agent needs this team has to look at?
Well, part of it is it depends on if you let any of your guys walk. I mean, if you let Teron Armstead walk, obviously left tackle. If you let Marcus Williams walk, then it's safety. But let's just leave them out of the equation. Where do I think they need to upgrade? Wide receiver, I think, is got to be up there. I mean, who can you even point to? I'm sure you're ready to let Tre'Quan Smith walk. He's a free agent, and I'm sure you're going to be telling him goodbye, adios.
Kick rocks.
You'll get him you won't even get him like an airplane like bottle of booze.
Larry,
I know you're not going to do it.
That guy, he can't win for trying. He has a beautiful touchdown catch, and he rips his helmet off. It's like, and I even tweeted, lay off of him. He's acting like he's never been there before because he's literally never been there before. He doesn't know how to react when he makes a great catch for a touchdown. Like, it's that atypical for him to do something positive. No, see you later. Gone.
Yeah, so that has to be something, but do you address that in free agency? A lot of times when you go spend big money on a wide receiver in free agency, A, another team doesn't want him on purpose, and B, it's a bust. Like, I can't remember a huge, high-priced wide receiver panning out in free agency, and so the Saints have typically stayed away. Just think of some of the free agent wide receivers they've got in the past. Ted Ginn didn't cost a ton of money. Emmanuel Sanders, they made that deal work. But obviously they had to cut him because of the way the cap went. And so how much do you want to be in that game? You would think they'd probably maybe look in the draft and what do you do with Michael Thomas? I mean, that's another big question. So, but I think, look, wide receiver, even like tight end, I mean, how much of a disappointment was that? I'm wondering if someone like Mike Gesicki from Miami, I don't want to bring back shades of Kobe Fleener, but I think Gesicki would be really good in the Saints uniform, and the Saints could take advantage of him. But he's going to cost you a lot of money too. And so, I would look at maybe in those terms, wide receiver to me or a tight end. But it's hard to spend a ton of money when you still got to take care of your own house and you don't really know exactly who's going to be back as far as high-priced guys like Armstead, Marcus Williams. And, oh, by the way, you got to pay a quarterback.
Armstead and Williams, do you think either or both return?
I don't want to say guaranteed yes, but I'd be more surprised if they left, both of them.
Okay.
I just think that the Saints could figure something out. It's not like they don't value Marcus Williams. They could give him a big deal and then backload it like they always do. Armstead, of course, is a risk, but they certainly really like the guy. When he's right, he's one of the best. But here's the thing. If some team blows the Saints out of the water, they are going to let him walk. I mean, they've let tackles walk in the past, specifically someone like Jermon Bushrod. He was coming off Pro Bowls. The Bears paid him a ton. They said, all right, we'll figure it out. Maybe somebody does that with him, and they try to figure it out and look to the draft. And they've certainly addressed offensive line needs in the draft. So I don't want to say for sure yes. I feel like both can return, but we've seen stranger things happen where people walk and they have to move on and life goes on. But look, it's a little bit. Thank goodness it's different than last offseason when there was shedding and it was crazy town. I think you can make this thing work, even though it looks a little daunting from the outside looking in. I'm sure pundits are going to be thinking, "Oh, here the Saints go again." I think they can make it work and have those two guys, but I think it depends on, they have to have a ceiling on how much they want to pay each of those guys.
Yeah. Well, last year was replacing Drew Brees and shedding $111 million in cap space. I mean, Larry, they still got to shed $60 million this year. So, I mean, we'll all get out our pens and papers and try to figure out how they're going to make this work, but they always seem to do, and put a competitive team out there. But it's going to be an uphill climb again this offseason. We'll follow along, theathletic.com/New Orleans. He's on Twitter at Larry Holder. Don't be a stranger this offseason. Let's do this some more, even though the season's over.
I agree. I say we start the hashtag now, trade for Trask. Let's do it. You knew I was going to fit that in there. You knew it.
I was surprised you didn't squeeze it in there earlier in the interview. But I think what you're seeing right now is just how big of a garbage player that he is. So
hard to beat Tom Brady out.
I would love to see him just stay. No, he should just stay there in Tampa. He should stay there in Tampa, become their starter, so Tampa has a decade of irrelevance after Tom leaves. I'd be for that.
It's so beautiful how much you just despise this guy. I
can't believe that you are hitching your wagon to Kyle Trask and Kenny Pickett when we've seen so many great quarterbacks in the league, and you see what the prototype of young guys coming out that have success, and Kyle Trask and Kenny Pickett are the two that you're stumping for. It's unbelievable.
I will say this. We can go into further detail next time I come on about Kenny Pickett, and we can debate this. I'm a believer in Kenny Pickett. I am.
Yeah, I'm sure you were a believer his first 5 years in college.
Joe Burrow had about 12 years in college, too, and had a huge year, and then look what he's done.
Joe Burrow had a great fifth year, emerging after his fourth year near the end, and physically is a much better prospect than Kenny Pickett. But we can have that conversation another time. In the meantime, thank you for your time. We'll talk next time.
All right, buddy. We'll talk about it next time. I'll make you a believer.
And we'll be on time. See you, Larry. Thank you.
See ya.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.